KKDZ. KKDZ 1250 AM is a radio station in Seattle, Washington, licensed to operate with 5,000 watts full-time. It was first licensed in April 1922 as KTW and is one of the oldest in the United States. History. KTW. The station received its first license, with the randomly issued call letters of KTW, on April 22, 1922. The original licensee was the First Presbyterian Church of Seattle, located at the intersection of 7th Avenue and Spring Street. Construction was credited to J. D. Ross, superintendent of the City Light Department, and James G. Priestley of the City Chemists Department. Originally a 250-watt station, its debut broadcasts were made on May 14, 1922 from 11:00 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. One of the station's purposes was to provide religious services to 22 outlying mission houses and chapels that didn't have their own ministers. KTW was originally licensed to use the single shared entertainment wavelength of 360 meters 833 kHz and was one of the last stations to remain on that wavelength. In 1925 it switched to 660 kHz, followed in 1927 by a move to 760 kHz. On November 11, 1928, under the provisions of a major reallocation resulting from the Federal Radio Commission's FRC General Order 40, KTW was reassigned to 1270 kHz shared with KFO and now KCAL. In 1931, it moved to 1220 kHz, sharing this frequency with KWSC, now KWSU, in Pullman, Washington. On March 29, 1941, along with all the other stations on 1220 kHz, KTW moved to 1250 kHz, the frequency KTW and its successors have occupied ever since, as part of the implementation of the North American Regional Broadcasting Agreement. Commercial programming started in 1946. KTW was sold to David M. Segal in 1964. A top 40 format failed because KTW shared 1250 kHz with KWSU, Pullman, which had priority. KTW signed off at sunset, then signed on again at 11:15 p.m. when KWSU, at Washington State University, signed off. The arrangement killed young listenership. The station's four DJ, Tom, Dick, Harry, and Sam, worked out of the First Presbyterian Church Cinderblock Building Studios at 710 Madison Street. Segal also established KTW-FM at 102.5 in 1964. FM listenership in Seattle was meager, at best back then, outdistanced by Marketcaster's Kkdz. KOL-FM was a popular underground station in the late 60s. KTW was eventually sold to Dawn Incorporated, short for Norwood and Dawn Patterson, for $25,000. The Pattersons took the AM/FM to paid Christian programming, featuring shows including The Lutheran Hour, Curtis Springer, and others. Patterson also owned Christian stations in Central California. Patterson was found guilty of tax fraud in 1971 for failing to pay the Treasury Department employee withholding taxes which he had withheld, which the court ruled he had been keeping for himself. When the Pattersons' Seattle stations went into court-ordered receivership in 1970, an attorney, Walter M. Webster, Jr., posted notices in the studios, by then located on the 15th floor in the Northern Life Tower building at 3rd and University. Patterson immediately ordered the control room board op to shut down both transmitters. Patterson then drove to West Seattle, removed the finals from both transmitters. He failed to notice spares in the engineering cabinet. The station was back up and running that night. Norwood J. Patterson was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison. KTWFM, like KOL-FM mentioned earlier, also had 12 hours of separated programming by law, but paid religion had limited audience appeal. KTW was sold to Sterling Recreation Organization, a chain of cinemas in the Seattle area owned by Fred Dance, in 1971. Under Dance, the format switched to news/talk, gained traction with news blocks and intelligent hosts including Aaron Brown, Linda Gist, Greg Palmer, all going to King TV, Wayne Cody to Cairo TV, and many others. The news director was Phil Coggin. The limited AM daytime hours again contributed to the format's demise. After the KTW SRO sale, KTW-FM became Kkdz. Kayak. Financial problems resulted in the station being sold to Don Dudley and a format flip to Urban Adult Contemporary, along with a call letter change to Kayak in 1975. Kayak moved its format over from 1460. KKFX. In 1981, the station was sold to North Star Broadcasters and renamed KKFX K-Fox. Vice President and General Manager John L. Hawkins implemented greatest hits music during the day to serve a general audience, a format he had success with at San Francisco Station New and others. The station was known for a howl sound effect dropped between songs. Because the nighttime radio audience has a different listener profile, K-Fox aired Night Beat, the beat of the Fox, emphasizing R&B and dance music, also known as rhythmic contemporary. Night Beat proved so popular that the station evolved to playing it full-time in 1982, using the slogan K-Fox, Seattle's hottest music. Bingham Broadcasting bought the station 4 years later. In 1987, the station dropped its rhythmic format in favor of satellite-fed R&B oldies, though it would return to rhythmic a year later. This format continued with minor variations until KKFX signed off in March 1993. Kkdz. KidStar. On April 7, 1993, the call letters were changed to Kkdz, and a month later, on May 14, the station returned to the air as the flagship outlet for the fledgling KidStar radio network, run by the Seattle-based Children's Media Network. Financial problems would force the station off the air again on February 21, 1997. Radio Disney. In August of that same year, Kkdz returned as an affiliate of Radio Disney, who would later buy the station outright in January 1998. The cessation of operations of KAR in February 2014 due to the expiration of the lease on their transmitter site also affected Kkdz, as it used the KAR site for nighttime operations. Kkdz filed with the Federal Communications Commission for a special temporary authority STA grant to run with a lower power of 125 kilowatts at night from their daytime transmitter site. Dizzy 1250. On August 13, 2014, Disney put Kkdz and 22 other Radio Disney stations up for sale, in order to focus more on digital distribution of the Radio Disney network. In May 2015, a deal to sell the station to Universal Media Access, owners of Clock in San Francisco, for $500,000 was announced. On September 17, 2015, the sale of Kkdz was consummated, at which point it officially dropped its Radio Disney affiliation and switched to a South Asian format featuring Hindi, Punjabi, and English language programming, branded as Dizzy 1250. It ended 22 years of pre-teen and young teen-oriented programming on the station, dating back to the KidStar days. On October 16, 2017, Sukhdev Singh Dhillon's New Media Broadcasting, through licensee Ackle Broadcasting Corporation, purchased Kkdz from Universal Media Access for $500,000. The station's license was transferred to sister corporation ACL Media Kkdz, Inc., effective August 27, 2019 as part of a corporate restructuring.